Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For about the past week or so, we have been off here on the channel doing a tiny bit of content sprinklings here and there, but mainly this past week, super busy for myself personally, me and my family. Also, good time, I felt like, to maybe step away for a second, recharge the batteries a tiny bit. But the Pittsburgh sports news did not stop, and that brings us here to tonight. A ton to talk about with you fine folks, especially today. Lots of news going down today surrounding all three of the professional Pittsburgh sports teams. Here in a minute, of course, like we normally do, we will start off talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe when we left off here, live streaming on the channel, we were just talking about Mike McCarthy being hired. He had his introductory press conference, I believe, the day after his after our most recent live stream, I should say. We talked about that a little bit in a separate video. But since then, the coaching staff for Mike McCarthy has been pretty much filled out. And there are a lot of names that I like. There are a few names that I'm a little skittish of, whether it's, the roles they're in or just their hires in general. But we'll talk about all of it. We'll talk about the main ones. We know McCarthy is the head coach. We'll also talk the main guys we're going to talk about here in who they hired. The defensive coordinator we talked about a little bit in a video. And today, offensive coordinator, that role being filled officially. The Steelers, within the past hour, I believe, made that hire official. So all of the Steelers hirings on their coaching staff, that and much more we will talk about here to kick off the show here in a moment. After that, we'll get into a little bit about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They being mentioned today in a scolding hot rumor that they could land maybe one of the top pitchers available this free agent cycle. Still available out there, this pitcher is. Shocking that he is still available, but the Pirates, after missing out on a few bats, could they now be switching up to spending a ton of money at something they're good at, which is in the pitching staff? And then we will get into the Pittsburgh Penguins. Depends. Last night, not a good night for them. The night before that, not a good night either. They've played 4 games since we last met in this way on a live stream. The results of those 4 games and what the Penguins are looking like moving forward. They got one more game until the Olympic break. That will be tomorrow night against the red-hot Buffalo Sabres. We'll talk about the Pens as well. And then to wrap up the show, of course, your guys' comments. And we'll also mention any of the loose end Pittsburgh sports news in what we call the extra Pittsburgh sports news category. Just little stories here and there about our teams that we're not going to get too attached to. Just mention them, leave a few comments, and go on about our days. Before we kick everything off here to begin what I'm sure will be a jam-packed live stream here on a Wednesday night. Feels like a bit of a Monday to me, but it is Wednesday. Before we do all that, if you are new here, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Steel City Sports Report. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, on this live stream right now, leave a like, share this live stream so we can keep getting the viewership numbers up in here. We got 8 people in here already so far tonight. And in the comment section, any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have, get those in there. I enjoy interacting with you guys throughout the show. You leave tons and tons of great feedback, so I appreciate that. Just anything on your mind, whether it's about Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or if you want to go off the wall with something as well, maybe we'll discuss that too. Also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in later tonight for the first time in about a week, a new edition of SCSR 60, where we take all of the top Pittsburgh sports news of the day and compile it into a 60-second time frame. With that, we go to the comments section before we get things started with our first segment here tonight. Flacco, glad to have you back. Thank you for the welcome back. Welcome back to all of you guys as well. I've missed our interactions on Flacco. You, day oneer here on the channel, missed interacting with you, Concepts, Freight Train, everybody else who comes in here and leaves comments on the regularly. Appreciate you guys. I miss you. I have missed you guys as well. And we are going to get things back to normal here a little bit. I think we're going to go back to a regular schedule for the next little bit now, every weekday. Try every weekday for a live stream with the Pittsburgh Sports News and an SESR 60. But glad to be back, feeling energized. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it takes us into our first storyline of the day here. And of course, we go to the local football team, that being the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since we last spoke, like I said, the Mike McCarthy hire was still pretty fresh, still pretty new to us, the Mike McCarthy hire. He had his introductory press conference, I believe, back on Monday of last week, and said some good things there. I think we covered that in a video. Since then, the McCarthy hire, it is now expanded. The coaching staff of one Mike McCarthy, it was said back in his introductory press conference to be a fluid situation. He said he wanted to build off of what was currently there with the Steelers, but he also wanted to get some young dudes in here as well. Since those comments from McCarthy, it has exploded. Every day it felt like the Steelers were either interviewing someone or hiring someone for a coaching gig here. And we start with something we talked about, I believe, back on Wednesday of last week, going back a week ago now. Defensive coordinator. No more Terrell Austin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, just like that, Steelers fans everywhere, they jump with joy. Me, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but just like I said in the video before about this defensive coordinator hire, I'm not jumping as high as some other people may be. Patrick Graham is the new defensive coordinator for the past 3 seasons. Graham, 47 years old, he has been defensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was also defensive coordinator of the 2019 Miami Dolphins and the New York Giants during the COVID seasons 2020 through 2021. Graham, with familiarity, of course, to Mike McCarthy, it was, as we go through all of these hires here for the Steelers, you will see tons and tons of ties back to Mike McCarthy, whether it was with his Dallas staff or his Green Bay staff. So Graham, familiar with McCarthy, defensive coordinator for the past 7 seasons. However, in those 7 years for Patrick Graham, not the most inspiring job he has done. I do understand that there are some good things that Graham has done. He did get the most out of the past few seasons of what he was given with that Raiders defense, had them middle of the pack in terms of defense. That's, better than what the Steelers had this past season. So Graham did do a good bit with not a whole lot there in Las Vegas most recently, but overall, his past 7 years as defensive coordinator, not all that inspiring to me. This is his 4th team in 7 years, so that says something about him being able to hang on to a job. But 7 years as defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, his scoring defenses, they have ranked 32nd, dead last, 9th, pretty good, 23rd, 26th, 9th again, and then the past 2 seasons, 25th and 25th in scoring defense. So 2 good years, 5 really, really bad years in the bottom third of the league there for Patrick Graham. Also, some other things that I didn't like about the hiring of one Patrick Graham. When the Steelers interviewed and hired Graham, this was right at the same time, maybe even a little bit after, of the whole situation in Cleveland. Cleveland, they found their new head coach. It was Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. With that hiring for the Browns, they pretty much unceremoniously sent out the door their excellent defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, who has had that Browns defense balling in recent seasons. I would have loved for the Steelers to at least do an interview with Schwartz. I understand he doesn't run the same 3-4 defensive scheme that the Steelers love to run, but would have loved for the Steelers to at least take a look at Schwartz, maybe bring in a good division rival. Also, another thing with Patrick Graham, this year for Matt Williamson, the Raiders, with Graham as their defensive coordinator, the lowest percentage at 14.6 of man coverage. That does not bode well for, I think, some corners and defensive backs currently on roster for the Steelers, like Joey Porter Jr. When he's not in man-to-man coverage, I think he has some issues. I mean, I would much rather have Porter up at the line of scrimmage jamming guys than playing, 6, 7, 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. So some things in question here that I have about Patrick Graham. Has done a little bit of good, but I'm still waiting with Patrick Graham as this defensive coordinator. I'm going to wait for him to wow me before I crown him as the next great Steelers DC. But hey, I mean, can't be any worse than Terrell Austin, am I right? As for the other guy, and it is the gentleman that you see on your screen right now, the other key coordinator spot for the Steelers, offensive coordinator, pretty much offensive coordinator for the Steelers. We know Mike McCarthy is going to call plays offensively, so I think offensive coordinator is going to be pretty much what defensive coordinator was under Mike Tomlin. You coordinate things, you do certain things, but the coach, the main guy, is going to be calling most of the plays. With that, Steelers, they still needed to hire an OC, and I like this one. It is Brian Angelicio. I probably butchered that last name. Brian Angelicio, I think, is what I was hearing as a phonetic pronunciation of his last name. Angelicio, Brian Angelicio, Vikings pass game coordinator and tight ends coach. He coming from the Minnesota Vikings, and from what I am hearing, this is a good get here for the Steelers. Angelicio was with McCarthy back in Green Bay when he was just starting out as a coach. Mark Caboli, he was the first this morning, or I believe late last night, to break this news of Angelicio to the Steelers. But sounds like the Vikings not happy that this guy is leaving the building. Pass game coordinator, aside from the absolute atrocity that was J.J. McCarthy last year at quarterback for the Vikings, this guy, pretty key in how things are ran offensively up there in Minnesota. Of course, much fans rave about Kevin O'Connell and him being a quarterback whisperer and a good offensive mind. Well, this kind of like how I wanted Nate Scheelhaase for the Steelers offensive coordinator job. Sounds like what Scheelhaase was to McVay, Angelicio being the right-hand man to Kevin O'Connell. It's a similar dynamic right there. So I'll take it. Angelicio coming here to Pittsburgh. Sounds like the Vikings wanted him back in a bad way. He was pretty key to what they were doing out there. Also, Mark Caboli of the Pat McAfee Show, who broke this news of Angelicio to the Steelers last night. He will, in the interim, he's going to be offensive coordinator, but he does come from a tight ends coach background. He's going to help out with the tight ends in the meantime. The Steelers still needing to hire a tight end coach. Caboli saying that the Steelers would love to add a young guy at that position of tight end coach. If the young guy struggles, then Angelicio will be able to help out here and there amidst his offensive coordinator duties. A little surprised that this is the route that the Steelers went. There were some other fantastic options out there for OC. Of course, Nate Scheelhaase would have loved for him to be the OC, but maybe he wanted play calling duties. Just happy that the Browns didn't get him, to be quite honestly. Cliff Kingsbury, I believe he went somewhere else before he could really get in-depth interviews with the Steelers. Lunda Wells, Cowboys' current tight end coach, he interviewed with the Steelers for this offensive coordinator position. Maybe he still winds up in Pittsburgh as the tight ends coach, but it'll be a real tough thing to get him going to Pittsburgh in a lateral position change. Alex Van Pelt, Rams offensive assistant, and Scott Tolzien, Saints quarterback coach. These two were arguably the top two candidates for the Steelers offensive coordinator job. Neither of those guys were all that close in the end. Van Pelt, he ended up going to be the quarterback coach down in Atlanta with the Falcons, joining Kevin Stefanski. And Tolzien, he put out there his plans to remain with the New Orleans Saints as their quarterback's coach. Sounds like the Steelers maybe soured on Tolzien and his inexperience as a coordinator. That's what led him to going back to New Orleans. So there it is. The Steelers' offensive coordinator is Brian Angelico, and for defensive coordinator, it is Patrick Grahams. Overall, now the big three for the Steelers: head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I give it a solid B. I mean, could they have gone more bolder with some things? Yes, but at the end of the day, I do feel like the floor of the coaching staff that this group is replacing, that floor has been risen a little bit. I mean, McCarthy and Tomlin, you're looking at pretty much a lateral across the board move right there, but the coordinators were just so bad under Mike Tomlin. Arthur Smith, an abysmal year. Terrell Austin, he was pretty bad for a while. These guys, Angelico and Graham, can't say that they have a high bar to hurdle here to clear to be better than those guys. So those are the main coordinators for the Steelers: offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. As for a couple of quick hits on some new positional coaches and other coordinators for the Steelers, these names that I'm about to list off, all being confirmed as joining the Steelers coaching staff over the past few days. In no particular order here, this starting on the offensive side of the ball: James Campen. He is the new offensive line coach. Jari Evans, he is an assistant offensive line coach. Ramon Chinyoung Sr. will be the running backs coach. Adam Henry, the new wide receivers coach. And Tom Arth, he will stay on board as the quarterbacks coach. Some more coaches here: defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach Jason Simmons. He new to the squad. Scott McCurley, just like Tom Arth, coming back from being under Mike Tomlin to being under Mike McCarthy. He stays on as the inside linebackers coach. Steve Scarnecchia is a chief of staff here for the Steelers. And then, of course, the tweet from the Steelers today that you are seeing on your screen still: Brian Angelico, offensive coordinator. Danny Crossman as special teams coordinator, replacing longtime special teams coordinator Danny Smith. Joe Witt Jr., assistant head coach and a secondary coach as well. And DeMonte Pecco as defensive line coach. That's a familiar name for those of you who are AFC North football fanatics. And the last one that the Steelers have confirmed up to this point: Pat Riley as defensive quality control coach. So going through all of these, again, in no particular order here. Back to the first group of guys: offensive line, James Campen, ex-NFL offensive lineman. He is going to be the new O-line coach. He was with McCarthy in Green Bay back in 2007 all the way through 2018. Some of those offensive lines back then for the Packers, they were pretty good. Obviously, the coach, the offensive line coach of the Super Bowl winning Green Bay Packers team that defeated our Pittsburgh Steelers, that front of the Steelers was elite back then. So he did a good job beating those guys in the Super Bowl. This hire for assistant offensive line coach, I really like Jari Evans. I believe he played at one point under Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, but always you're going to view a hire in good lighting when it is a retired all-pro guard and a Pro Football Hall of Fame candidate is Jari Evans. Veteran offensive line. He'll be working with veteran offensive line coach James Campen. So I like this dynamic that the Steelers kind of did throughout their coaching hires. Yes, they got the older veteran coach who probably coached with McCarthy before, but they also brought in some younger guys to learn after them as well. So I guess planting the seeds for maybe replacements down the line. I like that a lot. This Ryan Chinyar, becoming the new running backs coach. This is the one I kind of had a little, all right, what's up with this feel for it. Chin Young, his background is in offensive line, was a part of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line coaching staff when he was with McCarthy in Dallas. Now, not sure what he knows about running backs, how affiliated he is with them, but hopefully things pan out. He's replacing an excellent running back coach here in Pittsburgh in Eddie Faulkner. Best of luck to him. Adam Henry replacing Zach Azzani as wide receiver coach. Bit of a mixed bag here with Adam Henry. Has worked with a solid collection of receivers throughout his coaching career. He's worked with guys like Jarvis Landry, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, lots of potential future Hall of Fame wide receivers right there. But on the other hand, past 3 years, been with the Buffalo Bills. I think, some of their wide receivers have been less than inspiring. I mean, you're looking at the Keon Colemans of the world, a failed first round, early second round pick. I forget what he was. Stephon Diggs got sent out of town, didn't really replace him with a number one guy. So, I mean, people were saying with the Buffalo Bills this season, besides the defense being bad at times, the talent around Josh Allen failed them, and Adam Henry coaching the group that was pretty much the most important group for Josh Allen. They were better than the Steelers. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't the best unit out there in the NFL. We mentioned Tom Arth, quarterback coach. He makes a return. Scott McCurley, same thing. He was a inside linebacker coach with McCarthy in Dallas, so that was the least shocking retain from Mike Tomlin's staff. Another Steeler coach from Mike Tomlin's staff that McCarthy tried to retain, Gerald Alexander. Interesting that I mentioned his name because he brings us to Jason Simmons here. The Steelers hired the Commanders' defensive pass game coordinator, Jason Simmons. It was said to be a prominent defensive role for the former Steeler player back in 1998. What that prominent role was, we did not know. Well, now we know because Gerald Alexander, who the Steelers tried to retain, he ended up taking the defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach job with the Minnesota Vikings. So he goes to join Brian Flores and Jason Simmons, younger coach, up-and-coming coach. He is now the new defensive backs coach here for the Steelers. Some other hires for the Steelers here. Again, these loose end hires, just going along with them pretty fluidly here. Steve Scarnecchia from the Falcons. He goes from their chief of staff to our chief of staff. Was previously, I think, also with the Jets too. Not much I know about Steve Scarnecchia, director of staff. I assume he coordinates the coaches and when meetings and practices are on a large scale, something like that, I would assume. But hey, it's a new role. Steelers, notoriously small coaching staff. At least they're adding new rules to the team, getting as many minds and opinions in the building as possible. Special teams coordinator, Danny Crossman. We go from Mike Tomlin to Mike McCarthy. Now we go from Danny Smith to Danny Crossman. 59 years old, over 2 decades of experience for Crossman, according to Tom Pelissero. However, not going to act like I'm some special teams savant here. Did get fired, though, by the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins, terrible team last year. Special teams, I'm sure, was a pretty bad unit. Hopefully it was a talent issue for Danny Crossman, and now that he is here in Pittsburgh, he's going to be getting some excellent special teamers like Miles Killebrew, Ben Skoranek, Connor Hayward, Carson Bruner. Hopefully better ingredients will have him cooking up a better dish than what he had down there in Miami. Joe Witt Jr., these are some of the hires that came today. Former Commanders defensive coordinator, I should say, Joe Witt Jr. He is an assistant head coach and secondary coach for the Steelers now, 47 years old, spent 11 seasons on Mike McCarthy's staff with the Green Bay Packers. Now he is in Pittsburgh. Some good things from Witt, mainly a defensive backs type of coach. He's assistant head coach and secondary coach in some sort of way. But back when he was the corners coach for the Green Bay Packers, that was from 2009 to 2017, he introduced a ball hawking mentality for the Packers. They, in that span, 09 to 17, 176 interceptions. That is crazy, crazy production there from those DBs for the Packers. Turnover culture. I think Mike Tomlin, if there's one thing that Witt could resonate with the Steelers players, all they've known from Mike Tomlin defensively was we need to create turnovers. Witt has a knack of getting his players to get turnovers, so that's a good matchup right there. Wrapping up here with the confirmed coaching hires for the Steelers. DeMonte Pecco, told you guys, if you're longtime Steelers fans, familiar name. Pecco, former longtime Cincinnati Bengals defensive lineman. I'm sure tons of ex-Steelers players would used to say Pecco made life a living hell for them on the interior. He is now the defensive line coach for the Steelers. So he replaces, I believe, Carl Dunbar. Last year, Pecco was with Colorado, head coach prime Deion Sanders in college. Now he's with the Steelers as their D-line coach. That is an interesting hire right there. I think one hire that tons of Steelers fans are going to pay attention to. And the last one that the Steelers themselves have confirmed. You got Pat Riley as defensive quality coach, I believe is what his title is here. Don't know much about it. He was the defensive quality coach in Jacksonville for 3 of the past 5 years. And also he was a defensive analyst under Nick Saban back in 2018 through 2020. So not sure what his purpose exactly is going to be on defense. But like I said, the more minds and the more bodies and ideas and opinions you get in that building, the better, in my opinion. 2 other unconfirmed hires, I should say, for the Steelers. Frank Cignetti Jr., he is brother of Curt Cignetti, head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, who just won the national championship. Frank Cignetti Jr., he reportedly is coming onto the Steelers coaching staff as a senior offensive assistant. I believe, who was it? There was a Mike Sullivan, not the Mike Sullivan who was the former head coach of the Penguins, but there was another Mike Sullivan. I want to say he was a senior offensive assistant for the Steelers a few years ago. Still, it sounds like Frank Cignetti Jr. Is going to take up that role with the Steelers. And also, pretty much the last of the main positional coaches. Looks like that is the outside linebacker coach, Denzel Martin, out. Apparently coming in will be Sean Howe, Montana State defensive coordinator. He is going to be the new outside linebackers coach. That is a hire that I'm a little skeptical of, but is it weird? I'm uneasily excited to see what comes of it. You got a guy coming from the college world, and all of a sudden he's going to be coaching TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer. That may be the most make or break position coach hire that the Steelers made this cycle. I hope everything pans out for them and for Sean Howe here. But that's it for the Steelers coaches and all the coaches they hired. Are they going to hire more? I would not doubt it, to be quite honest with you. It seems like if they really like a coach that's out there, if they like him enough, they're going to create a job for him some way, somehow. So I do like that the Steelers reportedly, with all these hires, are going to have their largest coaching staff maybe in their history. That is exciting. The Steelers, notoriously cheap and small, with the coaching staff going bigger. Not sure if, they're paying more money this time around for coaches, but they are getting bigger and they are getting more guys in there. You cannot be critical about that. The coaching hires here, they follow pretty much two key trends. They were either guys that coached with McCarthy before on Cowboys and Packers staff. I believe. And also tons of Pittsburgh ties too. Of course, McCarthy, the Pittsburgh native. You got Scott McCurley, Danny Crossman, the new special teams coordinator, and Frank Signetti Jr. All of those guys affiliated with the University of Pittsburgh as well. So Pittsburgh ties and ties to McCarthy seems to be the reoccurring trend throughout this coaching staff. We do have a good bit of new names here, but I like it. Overall, kind of going with the whole head coach coordinator dynamic. I give the coaching staff as a whole a B, probably. I do like some hires, some other hires, not as confident in, I should say, but the fact that they are a little bit going with that older, position coach coordinator, and then a young guy underneath him, young up and comer to learn along the way. I do like that. That is coaching structure. It is not, a collective of guys that individually do their thing and then come together to make a coaching staff. Instead, it is a coaching staff altogether where one guy is connected to another. So good job by Mike McCarthy, Omar Khan, Art Rooney II. Give him a tiny bit of flowers here on the coaching staff hires. What's your favorite one? What are some hires that you're a little bit critical of? Let me know in the comments section. Real quick, wrapping up this whole coach speak here for the Steelers for the time being. Some of those key Steelers coaches that have moved on. Carl Dunbar was not retained. We learned that back last week. So Dunbar was not retained, longtime Steelers D-line coach, very well reputed. Offensive line coach Pat Meyer, he found new work with the Buffalo Bills. Pretty much, I'm not sure how to grade that hire for the Bills. For, I think, 5 years, Meyer was here. 4 were pretty bad. The fifth one last year was better. Lots of guys developed, but we'll see how he does in a new situation up there in Buffalo. Running back coach, Eddie Faulkner. Hate this one. He is taking up the running back coach job with AFC North rival, the Baltimore Ravens. So he goes from black and gold to black and purple after coaching Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell. He now goes to coach his best running back he'll ever coach in Derrick Henry. Yikes. Do not like that matchup there if you're a Steelers fans. And then Denzel Martin, outside linebackers coach, has done a phenomenal job with TJ Watt and that crew. He was interviewed by the Dallas Cowboys for their outside linebacker job. Have no idea if he took up that role, but we'll see if he pops up anywhere else around the NFL. And that brings an end to the Steelers coaching staff and all of their hires, the coaching staff being filled out. I'm sure there are going to be some other hires here and there as they come in. We will report on them, but that pretty much catches us up on the Steelers front of what all went down over the week or so. We were off here without live streams. Let me know what your thoughts are on the coaching staff. We go back to the comment section right now. Some more regular customers joining back in here tonight. Concepts, glad to have you back. Thank you for the kind comments there. Al on the prowl as well. Same thing with Flacco here. Let's go up here, catch up on some of these comments. My dad in here too. Let's go here to Flacco. Not really thrilled about our defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, but we will see. I'm a little more optimistic about the OC than I am the DC. Hopefully it was with Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator. Hopefully it's more of a look at the talent I was given. I am a good coordinator, but I was giving Jack to cook with here. Did get a lot out of Max Crosby, but Max Crosby is pretty much all he had on that defense for the 3 or 4 years he was in Las Vegas. So hopefully Graham hits a new stride here with a new cast of characters. He'll be getting an ageless Cam Hayward. More news on him coming up a little bit later on in the show. TJ Watt, Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Derek Harmon. He's going to be inheriting all of those guys, or at least most of them, depending on how roster construction shakes out. So I'm hoping things go well with Patrick Graham and Angelichio. Not sure how we're going to be able to grade him. Do like that he is coming from a modern day offensive scheme in mind in Kevin O'Connell. So that's a nice sign there. I believe Mike McCarthy said he wanted to, in creating this coaching staff, blend his offensive philosophy with some modern day stuff there. I think the hiring of Angelichio helps connect the dots right there. So I do like that. Some other comments here, you guys chiming in on Eddie Faulkner joining the Baltimore Ravens. Liked Eddie Faulkner, but now I have to say F him. Wonder if his middle name initial is F. Yeah, I mean, Faulkner joining the Ravens. You hate to see some beloved Steelers coaches join your rival teams, but hey, money talks. So good luck to Faulkner, but also not good luck. Would still love for the Steelers to have, for most of the times they meet up, would still love for the Steelers to have their voodoo magic over stopping Derrick Henry. They've had some nice success against him. Al on the prowl here, Mike McCarthy doing what I thought he'd do. He is concentrating on the offensive line. Definitely those first three hires that I talked about positional wise, that definitely spoke to his commitment to get back to old school Pittsburgh football, run the ball, be excellent in the running game. Campen, veteran offensive lineman, and tons of experience there as the O-line coach. I like that. Jari Evans, a dude who's literally getting consideration for the Hall of Fame every single time the ballot comes around. I love that. He's a young up-and-coming offensive line coach. Getting him in the fold here to be an assistant. Love that. And then Ryan Chinyoung, who's going to be the new running backs coach. I mean, hopefully Jaylen Warren and hopefully Kenneth Gainwell, those guys coming back. Hopefully they'll be able to maybe continue their good production and skill sets they developed under Eddie Faulkner, because Chinyoung, I have no idea what he is as a running backs coach. Do not think he had much experience, if at all, experience with running backs. So interested to see how that develops. But hey, at the very least, he can help out with the offensive line too. Should be no excuses for this offensive line not continuing on what they built last year. You saw steps in development from Zach Frazier, Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones before he got injured was starting to trend up a little bit. Now that you've got three good offensive line coaches in there, should be no excuse for that unit to do anything but traject upwards more than they already have. Some more comments here. Concepts still think we need to hire you-know-who as the jet sweep coordinator. I don't know you-know-who. I hope you're not talking about Matt Canada or Arthur Smith. We've been across those bridges and we burned them all the way to ash. Do not want to revisit any of those coordinators here. Maybe we bring in a former player who did jet sweeps a ton. Deontay Johnson comes to mind. Jonnu Smith, he was a jet sweep guy. Would love for him to be off the roster, but if he's willing to transition to coach, I mean, wouldn't be upset about that. THP in here, welcome back. THP, hope everyone is good. Unfortunately, the heart of my city was sold for a bag of beans. Thanks, Patrick Dumont. Yeah, THP coming from Dallas country. Saw that trade today for the Dallas Mavericks. See you guys talking about it in the comments there. I'm going to be completely honest. Excuse my language, know shit about basketball. So, but I do know some big name stars when I see them. And yeah, you guys just taking it in the groin there for Dallas basketball, THP. My feelings go out to you for losing Anthony Davis, the main guy, aside from, getting the first overall pick and drafting Cooper Flagg. But the main guy you got for Luka Doncic, gone like that for a bag of peanuts. Some other comments in here. THP going off of the Steelers topic here. Did see this before we went live. We're going to get into the Pittsburgh Penguins here a little bit later on in the show. To begin the hockey season for the Penguins, it was Wiley, said, "Oh, let's see the Penguins tank out and go get Gavin McKenna." Well, Penguins in a good spot right now. That spot even looking better now with Gavin McKenna getting these aggravated assault charges put on him for some stuff going on at Penn State. Penn State just played in an outdoor game over the weekend. That was fun to watch there at Nittany Stadium. Some other things here, Al on the prowl here. We've become the Green Bay Packers. It feels like it. We've become a Green Bay Cowboy. We become the Green Bay Cowboys or the Dallas Packers because a solid chunk, I'd say 60 to 70% of the Mike McCarthy staff has ties to McCarthy from when he was coaching in those two spots. Will it turn out to be all right? I do have a little bit of worry that, it's more retread coaches, but maybe he combines the best of what he had from those coaching staffs and it turns into something outstanding here in Pittsburgh. At least that's what I am hoping for. Another comment here from Concepts talking about the Cleveland Browns hire. We will officially talk about some other coaching staff additions for our division rivals a little bit later on. Todd Monken, is a favorite hire because it caused their defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, to flip them off on the way out. Yep, Monken being hired, that was, I was very happy to see that. And Steelers fans, I'm sure we're happy to see that because Monken, Steelers, had success against his offensive schemes and plays and stuff like that. He had Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and some other outstanding players on that Ravens offense. Didn't underachieved with those guys, and now he's going to be the head coach of the Browns, which with a roster that is so much worse than the Ravens. Love that if you're a Steelers fans. And also, like I said, their outstanding defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, pissed him off. He's on his way out of the door too. So love that right there. Another comment here. My dad saying F the Ravens. Concepts here. He was snubbed for OC. Hope they feature Muth more and establish the run more. Hope you're doing well, by the way. That's cool there. Thank you, Concepts, for those words. Yeah, he got snubbed for offensive coordinator. I got snubbed for defensive coordinator. Honestly, the more I thought about it, you guys did bring up the question. If you were up for a job for the Steelers, what would you take? I'd honestly probably take special teams coordinator. Feels like a much more basic palette for myself, and I'm probably getting the strongest crop of talent on the team there. Killebrew, one of the league's best special teamers. Carson Bruner, the best special teams rookie in the league last year. Ben Skoranek, an all-pro for special teams. Played in the Pro Bowl games last night or 2 nights ago, something like that. So, yeah, I would love to be special teams coordinator. If Danny Crossman, if the special teams for the Steelers all of a sudden go to complete waste, then I'll be banging on the door to replace Danny Crossman. I'll do it. Pay me, Steelers. I can do it. 11 of you in here right now. Welcome into the live stream here tonight. Nearing 50 minutes live here this evening. Our first live stream back in a little over a week. Took a bit of a break, but the Pittsburgh sports news continue to keep on rolling. We transition now, ladies and gentlemen, from some Steelers talk over to the local baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. For about the past month, maybe even a little bit over that, it has been radio silence, complete nothing on them being close to doing anything, adding anything of significance to this roster to continue to go all in. Remember, according to Pirates president Travis Williams, we need to make the playoffs, full stop. And the Pirates, yeah, they added Brandon Lau, they added Ryan O'Hearn, good additions, but they still need one more impact player to add to this roster before I start probably delusionally believing that the Pirates could do something this season. Thought it was going to be Eugenio Suarez, third base, still the biggest hole, I believe, on the Pirates roster right now. You got Jared Triolo right now as the only guy who is worth a damn that can play that spot. Thought Eugenio Suarez, a power right-handed bat who didn't seem like was going to be all that expensive to acquire. I thought he would have been a perfect addition for the Pirates. But then 3 nights ago comes around that Suarez agrees to a 1-year, $15 million contract with the Cincinnati Reds with a mutual option for 2027. So Suarez, the best third baseman left on the market, a right-handed power bat, which the Pirates desperately need, and at a very, very fair price, they miss out on him. And to make things even worse, he goes to your division rival in the Reds. Felt absolutely terrible about that move, wanted to crash out, but then reports came that the Pirates were matching the Reds' offer and were willing to go higher, but Suarez wanted to stay with a familiar organization and right-hander hitter-friendly ballpark there in Cincinnati. So now we are on to screw that dude, screw Suarez, and the Pirates now need to pivot in a new direction. That pivot came today. We were wondering what's next with the Bucs. If they were willing to spend $15 million or more on Eugenio Suarez, you got to still go out and acquire $15 or more million in some other way. Could it be this way? This has me very excited after missing out on Eugenio Suarez. According to Ken Rosenthal, top MLB insider for The Athletic, senior writer for The Athletic as well, the Pirates have emerged as a aggressive club bidding for the services of why is his first name blanking on me here? Framber Valdez. Why did I do that there? I have no idea. The Pirates aggressively pursuing Framber Valdez, left-handed starting pitcher for the Houston Astros. This gives me a little bit of mixed emotions. Some personal, but mostly good. Valdez, outstanding. I believe former two-time All-Star, at least one of the more highly touted left-handed arms in all of baseball. Of course, you've got your top dogs, your Chris Sales and Garrett Crochets of the world. But if there was a B tier of left-handed pitchers, starting pitchers in the league, besides the cream of the crop, Framber Valdez, he fits into that role. Last season, bit of a down year for him. 31 games, had a little over 500 record, 3.66 ERA in 192 innings, but he does have the pedigree of a top 3 rotational arm, and he could be of vital need and necessity here for the Steelers. One of the better left-handed pitchers in the game. The Pirates, they need a left-handed pitcher, and honestly, I know they got some big names, Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller, Braxton Ashcraft, but besides Mitch Keller and besides Paul Skeens, I'm going to exclude him from this statement because he is the best pitcher in baseball. I don't care what his age is. Jared Jones, Braxton Ashcraft, Bubba Chandler, those three guys will be in your rotation. That's a lot of inexperience. I know they have outstanding and immaculate upside here for those guys, but would still love for experience to be in the Bucs lineup. They need a left-hander, and they need an experienced arm. Framber Valdez gives you both of those things in spades, so I would absolutely love that. Another connection here to Pittsburgh as to why we should believe that this report from Ken Rosenthal is true, that the Pirates are very aggressive for Valdez, does have a connection to Pittsburgh. New Pirates pitching coach, Bill Murphy, replacing Oscar Marine. Murphy, been with Valdez for years there in Houston. Now he's in Pittsburgh in the same role. Could Valdez, if he gets, similar offers across the board, let's say he gets an offer from Team A, Team B, and Team C, which would be the Pirates. And the Pirates, they have a coach he's pitched for before. That gives the Pirates a plus in that category. Even though Team A and Team B may be more closer to contention, if he values, being in a comfortable spot with a coach he is comfortable, that gives the Pirates a massive advantage. So Framber Valdez, the latest big name this offseason that the Pirates are being linked to. It was first this whole offseason of crazy big names being linked to the Pirates. It started with Kyle Schwarber. They missed on him. Then it developed into, the likes of Pete Alonso, Cody Bellinger, those guys. The Pirates weren't in on those guys. And then it came down to Eugenio Suarez. The Pirates miss out on him. Now, could we be nearing the end here? Finally, get a big name free agent that we have been linked to. One of these top 25, top 15 free agents out there available. Could the Pirates finally be getting one of those? And I don't mean, saying top 25, top 15 being any disrespect to Ryan O'Hearn, but the Pirates, they need a super brand name guy. Framber Valdez would be that. The only negative, like I said, that I have with Valdez, character comes into a bit of question. Not that, I'm not going to say let me start over here. I don't know anything about his personal life. This is strictly a baseball take. I'm not, when I say questions about his character, saying, he's going to be in some scandalous criminal-like stuff. I'm not saying any of that at all. Character-wise, strictly baseball sense here. Framber Valdez last year with the Astros, there was an incident with one of his catchers where his catcher told him to step off. He throws a pitch. It gets launched like 450 feet. Next pitch, his catcher calls for a off-speed pitch. He throws a fastball, hits his catcher intentionally. It was clear as day as it was intentional. So I question, his character in that way. Is he going to be a team guy and keep a level head? But otherwise, all green lights for the Pirates, in my opinion, to make this signing for Framber Valdez. You do have one local guy, Dan Zangrilli of 93.7 The Fan. He is pretty connected with the Pirates, has done some radio work with them. He did say it seems unlikely the Pirates do get Valdez, which, hey, no kidding. He says he would be shocked if they signed Valdez, but this one here feels as real and conceivable as any other thing the Pirates have had going for them reporting-wise for a big name this offseason. So here's to the Pirates getting Framber Valdez. If you get Valdez, I believe that closes the door on the Pirates adding a high-paid third baseman. You're probably looking at Jared Triolo then at third base, and then until Connor Griffin is ready to go, Nick Gonzalez at shortstop. But hey, it is what it is. Some other things going on for the Pirates right now. You got Mike Clevinger. In the meantime, you want Valdez, who's an outstanding pitcher. You can take, in the meantime, an outstanding pitcher from the past. Mike Clevinger signing a minor league deal with the Pirates today with an invite to spring training. Clevinger, you go back about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that, before, COVID and injuries did Clevinger in. He was one of the best pitchers in the sport last year. though, was with the Chicago White Sox. He, with the White Sox, only made 8 relief appearances last year. Had a 4.20 ERA, 93. Had 93 strikeouts and 22 starts down in AAA, however. So hopefully he'll be able to rebound with the Pirates. If he does, that would be an outstanding little get for the Bucs. Some other rumors surrounding the Pirates right now, according to Katie Wu. She is a insider as well for The Athletic. The Pirates have expressed interest in designated hitter Marcell Ozuna. If you pass on a Framber Valdez, you pivot to another power right-handed bat in Ozuna, which he is a premium power bat. I would like that. Only downside is he is strictly a designated hitter, and that would slam door the shut on Andrew McCutchen returning to Pittsburgh, which that situation, I mean, it's looking pretty grim right now. You had McCutchen clap back at some comments Ben Cherington made at Pirates Fest about him returning. McCutchen did have a meeting a few days ago with Bob Nutting. No idea if that was about, hey, keep your phone on. We're going to come back to you and make you an offer to return, or, hey, we're moving in a different direction. I don't know, but the Andrew McCutchen thing, not looking good right now. Another rumor out there about the Pirates, this from Andrew Filipponi of 93.7 The Fan, so take it with a grain of salt. The Bucs interested in third baseman from the New York Mets, Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos. Those guys getting pretty much forced out of their positions by some free agent acquisitions for the Mets. So that is the latest in the Pittsburgh Pirates saga, as one door closes. My favorite free agent of them all for the Bucs this offseason, Eugenio Suarez. He goes back to Great American Small Park to link up with the Reds again. As that door closes, the Pirates could be going even further all in on their strength, which is pitching in Framber Valdez. Wouldn't be my first choice, but gotta say, wouldn't complain about it one bit either. 13 of you right now. Going one more time here in a few seconds. Switch gears one more time. We've gone from football to baseball. We will go from baseball to hockey here in 1 second. Freight Train in the comments section. Appreciate you, Freight Train. Thank you for the nice welcome back. Appreciate you guys that have done that. Also, like Freight Train said, please hit that like and subscribe button on your way in. Just realized here I have this graphic this banner for Framber Valdez here. Did not use. That's all right. Would love for Valdez here. Pirates, they're going to add a left-handed pitcher. All righties in their rotation right now. Skeens, Jones, Keller, Chandler, Ashcraft. They need a lefty in there. And would I be okay if you went back down the reunion well with a Jose Quintana or Tyler Anderson? Yeah, I'd be cool with that. But Framber Valdez, you get an elite left-handed arm like that, you all of a sudden get the best rotation guaranteed in the National League Central Division, maybe one of the best pitching staffs as a whole in the entire National League. So I would love for the Bucs to get Valdez, but time will tell if their aggressive pursuit gets even more aggressive than what they've done anywhere else this offseason, and they actually get a deal across the goal line here. Like I said, transitioning here into some Penguins hockey. Thank you, Freight Train, for the kind words. One last transition to a different sport before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for this evening. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Want to talk about them a minute. When we last had a live stream like this and talked about the Penguins, they were red hot, absolutely crushing teams left and right, continuing a absolutely stupendous January that they were having. And then over the past few days, a bit of their fast-paced momentum hit a bit of a halt the Pens, since we last were live, 4 games they played. Back on January 29th, they played against the Chicago Blackhawks. Dominant performance from them, 6-2 win for the Pens, extended their stretch to 12-2-2 since Christmas. Had the NHL's 6th best goal differential. Moving on to another game, they played the New York Rangers back on the 31st. They won that game 6-5. That was more of your early in the season Pittsburgh Penguins games. Bit of a third period scare holding the lead, but they were able to hang on. And then the past 2 nights, this is when the Pens became really, really rough to watch. It started a few days before that. Chris Letang, it was reported he broke his foot and will miss a minimum of 4 weeks with a fractured foot. He was placed on injured reserve. So your number 2, arguably number 1 defenseman, depending on how you rank him and Erik Karlsson, on the shelf for most likely over a month. Letang was wearing a boot when he was seen during that Rangers pregame ceremony. The Pens honoring the 2016 Stanley Cup team. It was awesome to see some old faces from the past there. I think Letang's absence was felt a little bit in that Rangers game. It was definitely felt the past 2 nights, though. On Monday, Pens, Senators was a close finish, 3-2 final score in favor of the Senators, but it was nowhere close to that. Shots in the game, Senators 31, Penguins 16. Again, Linus Ullmark looked like a brick wall against Pittsburgh, and the Senators just kept on peppering shots on Arturs Shilovs. He could only do so much. Wasn't his fault. Dan Muse, very critical of the team's performance and effort in that game. Last night, we'll get a little bit more into depth on this game. Last night, the Pens were in action. They did get a boost. Brian Rust returned to the lineup after a 3-game bullshit suspension. Not going to sugarcoat it because that's what it was. They did get off to a good start last night against the New York Islanders. Justin Brazeau with a one-handed pass to Anthony Mantha for his 20th goal of the year. Also, in that period, I believe, where did I lose my my stuff here? Sorry, sugarcoating was monologuing there, trying to buy time. The Pens did get a 1-0 lead, and then things went the other way. You had the Islanders getting 2 goals. Ryan Shea got burned, went back the other way. Bo Horvat cleans up a rebound. Then Anders Lee, who had a delayed penalty, was able to get it to Matthew Schaefer, the 18-year-old first overall pick. He blasted it into the net with 2 seconds left. On to the second period. Pens got another goal. It was another guy who is just outstandingly red hot right now. Best player on the Penguins right now in terms of goal production, Igor Chinakhov, acquired by the Penguins on New Year's Day was acquired just before New Year's by the Pens, made his debut New Year's Day for Pittsburgh. Since then, leads the Penguins in goals with 8. Electric shot from him continues to be just that. Brian Rust returns to the lineup. He gets a goal, banks it in off the elbow of Ilya Sorokin, gave the Pens a 3-2 lead heading into the third period. That is when the Islanders tied it up. Matt Barzal from long range gets a goal, should have been stopped. Justin Brazeau with a tip from a Brett Kulak shot got the Pens the lead again. Islanders tied it with Ryan Pulock getting a goal. Game goes to overtime. You probably know the rest of that story. You've heard it probably many times this season. The Pens go to an overtime or a shootout and does not go their way. You had some weird sequence where Brett Kulak, of all people, was pinching down. You had all 3 Penguins within 5 feet of the cage. a shot attempt from Kulak, even if it's, gets on net with mustard, that let the Islanders spring the other way with absolutely no chance of being caught. Bo Horvat, the captain for the Islanders, ends it. Isles win in overtime. Stuart Skinner for the Pens, honestly, could not stop anything last night. It was a rough night for him between the pipes. Hopefully that's not a sign of him reverting back to what he was with the Edmonton Oilers. But the Pens, January, outstanding from start to finish. But February, 2 games in February for them, not a good start. It has been rough going. They were lifeless against the Senators on Monday. And then last night, goaltending and defense failed them pretty damn good. So the Pens, like I said, got one more game before the Olympic break, which begins here on Friday. I believe that's when opening ceremonies for the Olympics begin. The Pens play tomorrow night against the red-hot Buffalo Sabres, and they need it. All of a sudden losing steam from that stretch from Christmas all the way through January, and now 2 losses in February. Chris Letang out long-term with a foot injury. Sidney Crosby got speared off a face-off last night. He finished the game, but that was scary. Don't need anything for our captain. And also this today, you had Caleb Jones, Penn's defenseman, who has been on the shelf with injury for pretty much the entire year. He got suspended today, 20 games, by the NHL for violating the terms of the NHLPA performance-enhancing substance program. So not going to say he was, taking anything performance-enhancing deliberately. Maybe it was something he accidentally took in his rehab from his injuries he had going for him this season. Statement from Kyle Dubas on the suspension of Caleb Jones. Caleb informed us this week that he tested positive for a performance-enhancing substance under the NHLPA performance-enhancing substance program. Through the process, Caleb has been forthcoming with the organization as to how he believes the positive test occurred. Caleb takes full responsibility for his actions despite being unaware that what he consumed was a prohibited substance at the time. The organization appreciates his transparency regarding the matter. Caleb will follow all NHL and NHLPA protocols related to his suspension. So that is it from the Penguins. Past few days, not good. Before that, couldn't have been better. Now we see how things will go for them tomorrow night, and we'll see what team comes out of the Olympic break here as the NHL will go on break for a little over 2 weeks, I believe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, still 10 of you in here on this Wednesday night. Going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the evening here in a moment. In the meantime, want to real quick go to the Twitter timeline, see if we have anything new that has popped off in the little over an hour we've been live. Basically, my timeline before we went live was something related to the Pirates and their interest in Framber Valdez or Gavin McKenna and that whole situation. Again, Penguins picked a good year, apparently, to be surprisingly good. Seeing if there's anything else here. The official, back to the Steelers here, we'll start with them in the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment in a minute. The official list of known hires for Mike McCarthy's staff, both confirmed and unconfirmed by the Steelers themselves. Offensive coordinator, Brian Angelico. Senior offensive assistant, Frank Signetti Jr. Quarterbacks coach, Tom Arth, returning. Running back coach, Ramon Chinyoung Sr. Wide receivers coach, Adam Henry. Offensive line coach, James Campen. Assistant offensive line coach, Jari Evans. Defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, assistant head coach and secondary coach Joe Witt Jr., defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach Jason Simmons, inside linebackers coach Scott McCurley, outside linebacker coach Sean Howe, defensive line coach DeMonte Pecco, Damata Pecco, defensive quality control coach Pat Riley, and then special teams coordinator Danny Crossman, chief of staff Steve Scarnecchia. So that is the full Steelers coaching staff right now under head coach Mike McCarthy. Pretty expansive, or at least more expansive than what we saw under Mike Tomlin of a coaching staff right there. We'll see if any other coaches get added to the coaching staff in the meantime. Seeing a breaking news story that the Eagles, for the first time in years, will have a new offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland. Their offensive line head coach is stepping down and stepping away. Congratulations to him on a good job there in Philly. Got a news story here from Jay Glazer. Max Crosby, his time as a Las Vegas Raider is most likely coming to an end. I'm sure tons of Steelers fans are immediately going to connect him to the Steelers because we have Patrick Graham here now as RDC. Would go berserk if Max Crosby were to become a Steeler, but is that in the cards? Does not feel like that is likely to happen. It would take multiple first-round picks, and you're probably looking at, like a Nick Herbig or a Joey Porter Jr. as a conversation starter to acquire a Max Crosby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, seeing nothing else really new here on the timeline. So with that, let's get into it. The extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. Some things stretching back the past week or so since I've been, off on here that I wanted to talk about. Some things new. This pretty damn new. This came out yesterday. Lions fan Ryan Kennedy, the fan in the altercation between DK Metcalf and himself in Detroit during the most recent NFL season. Kennedy filing for a $100 million lawsuit against Metcalf and the media company tied to Chad Johnson and Shannon Sharpe, alleging defamation, negligence, and more. Kennedy says, according to Ari Mirov here, that he has been falsely branded as a racist in the national media following that altercation at Ford Field. Kennedy also suing Metcalf for assault and battery and the Steelers for their alleged liability in the incident, seeking damages and court-ordered public retractions to clear his name. So lots ongoing with DK Metcalf and this whole Ryan Kennedy thing. I mean, maybe he gets something here with Metcalf, the assault and battery, because of the shove. It wasn't, really all that much of a punch, but the shove Metcalf gave his way. Maybe there's, something that gets settled in court there. Do I think Kennedy really has anything to stand on in terms of, the defamation and negligence stuff for Metcalf, Johnson, Shannon Sharpe? I think that stuff is gives him less ground to stand on. But a shame that, first off, a shame that this whole situation began in the first place. Steelers personnel should have monitored Metcalf. Metcalf himself should have said, hey, security, I've had issues with this dude in the past. Get rid of him. The NFL, if they've known about this guy, I believe they did know about this guy and Metcalf, their issues in the past. Why was he sitting there that day? Shame that situation had to begin, and it's a shame, honestly, that this dude is going to get something out of it, to be quite honest with you. I mean, terrible that, he got punched and, all the other, media stuff that's gone on with him. But, I mean, shouldn't have been there. And there's a video out there of him saying that was the goal, to get Metcalf to react like that. I mean, he's going to get something out of this. But if he is going to get, something out of this, I should say what's that going to, say to other fans? Oh, hey, let's go get sideline seats and heckle this one dude, see if he can come over here and punch us, and we'll get paid for it. So that whole situation's like a mess. Something major comes from it, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, I don't feel like talking about it anymore. Let's get back to another current member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam Hayward. Yesterday, he was out in San Francisco, of course, pre-Super Bowl festivities going on out there right now. Media Row, this whole big complex where pretty much any and every single major football podcast and network is out there right now. Cam Hayward, he is out there on two separate shows, indicated his intentions to keep playing and to play for no other team but the Pittsburgh Steelers. On Colin Cowherd's show, Hayward says that he still wants to play to win a Super Bowl and cement his legacy. He then went on, I believe, the Jim Rowe show or podcast and said that he does not want to play anywhere other than Pittsburgh. So sounds like Cam expects to be back in Pittsburgh in 2026. Did say on these shows some positive things about new head coach Mike McCarthy. It's good hearing that from him, seeing how he was the longest tenured Mike Tomlin guy. But we'll see. I mean, I think I'm 98% sure that Cam Hayward will play next year for the Pittsburgh Steelers because, loves the team, wants to win a Super Bowl here, loves being a one-helmet guy, I'm sure, as well. I leave that 2% margin for him not to return because of his contract situation. Either the Steelers could, cut Hayward to save some money. They don't owe him any more guaranteed money. That is all up on his contract. Or the other scenario, if Hayward does what he did last year during training camp, if he doesn't seem like that is an option currently. I guess doing a little bit of I guess work on what could be in his future. He and Aaron Donald will be a part of NBC's coverage of the Super Bowl on Sunday, so that should be fun to look out for. Another thing that'll be fun to watch, NFL Films today, they announced that I think a story, a biography or something on Pittsburgh football, that'll be coming out here later this month of February, narrated by the Pat McAfee Show, our first ever immersive format documentary, The Football Town, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, covering the Steelers and the Pittsburgh Panthers, my alma mater. That'll be, I'm sure, watched time and time again by many Pittsburghers. Bill Cowher chimed in on it, said it's a must-see. You will understand the makeup and culture of those of us who are lucky enough to grow up in the city of Pittsburgh, a football town unlike any other. So gonna absolutely enjoy watching that the night it comes out. Back to the Steelers some more here. Again, another former Pittsburgher, current Pittsburgh Steeler doing good things. Ben Skoranek was at the Pro Bowl last night. Not sure what all he did. Going to be totally transparent here. Did not watch a lick of the Pro Bowl because it has become that boring. I mean, it looked like it was in a warehouse that they rented out. It was so boring the Pro Bowl. George Pickens got MVP of the Pro Bowl, though, so I'm sure Steelers fans will have something to say about that. Got our first renderings. I will pop these up on screen right now. I believe this came out a few days ago. Our first renderings of what the draft will look like in Pittsburgh coming up here in April. Apparently, unlike initial reports, initial reports, looks like the draft is going to be held right outside Acrisure Stadium. I thought it was going to be held across the river in Point Park. Apparently, according to this picture here, over here, apparently there is still going to be some stuff going on in Point Park, but the main shebang going to be held right here on the PNC Park side of Acrisure Stadium. Like over here, down here, you got the casino and all that. PNC Park up there, you see in the background. But the draft, this is what it's going to look like. Stage right out in front of the Steelers Pro Shop in Great Hall is where the stage will be. We're hearing there's going to be some renovations done to the parking garages and all that as well to make those suites or whatever. But it's cool. The draft coming to Pittsburgh, we're getting a little bit of a taste of what it will look like right there. Who the Steelers will draft in Pittsburgh, that'll be another question. Hopefully it is not a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, because weak quarterback class, we've talked about that on here plenty, but rumors and reports about the Steelers' interest in high-profile, or I won't say high-profile quarterbacks coming from big schools that had less than stellar seasons. Those continue to roll in. Nick Farabaugh, who covers the Steelers, I believe for Penn Live, he says that the Steelers are really liking Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. Simpson was at the Senior Bowl, as was Garrett Nussmeier, who Nussmeier of LSU has connections to Mike McCarthy through his father. The Steelers showing interest in these 2 quarterbacks who were, going back 7 months, damn near slam dunk first rounders. And after their seasons played out, I wouldn't draft them in the first 2 days of the draft. But the Steelers, they got connections and they like them. So I guess we're going to need to get ready for a high 3rd round, late 2nd round pickup of one of these 2 guys if they are there. Omar Khan and Andy Weidel were both down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl last week. Very strong front office presence there for the Steelers, with Mike McCarthy just getting hired back then. Speaking of Andy Weidel, no need to worry about him leaving Pittsburgh this offseason. The Atlanta Falcons, they hired Bears general manager Ian Cunningham as their new GM, or their assistant Bears GM Ian Cunningham as their GM in Atlanta. So Weidel, who interviewed for that job, stays put. More on Mike McCarthy here. McCarthy was on the Pat McAfee show last week, had some interesting things to say, said pretty much what was music to Art Rooney II's ears to McAfee. Quote, "This is not a start-over opportunity at all. This is a football team that was in the playoffs last year. This is a playoff roster, just like that." Art Rooney gets all tingly in the loins because he absolutely hates the idea or thought of a rebuild. McCarthy also, again, reiterated on McAfee last week. He did speak with Aaron Rodgers numerous times, reiterated the importance of veteran players getting away, says that as far as their conversations has gone, it has not gone, as far as him, coming back or not coming back. He's going to leave that confidential, I'm sure, all the way through. McCarthy, the last thing he said in the McAfee interview, said that the Iron City can that was passed down from Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin, no longer present. I guess there's some lore behind that Iron City beer can. Said Tomlin must have drank them jokingly. McCarthy then joined Bob Pompiani of KDKA, did say one interesting thing, super interesting thing in that interview, said he is a big analytics guy, said that he is going to implement things like AI and more analytical thinking into his coaching, something that I don't think he did a ton in Dallas, even less of that, just technology-wise in Green Bay. But exciting to see him get with a little bit of the times in that sense. Hopefully he just doesn't become a robot out there and does everything that the computer says here, but implementing a little bit of it here and there, I'm all for. Last few things on the Steelers here for today. Quick hitters. A.T. Perry, former wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints. He is the newest of many, many players to sign future reserve contracts with the Steelers. Two-time All-ACC wide receiver back in 2023. Does come with a little bit of upside to him. 6'4", ran a 4.47, great measurables there. And the last thing here related to the Steelers, some more coaching hires. I didn't keep track of all of them, but I made notes of some key ones here, some notable coaching hires for the AFC North rivals of the Steelers. We mentioned Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He will push out Jim Schwartz. We've talked about that a little bit. I am just really, really happy that the Browns passed on Nate Scheelhaase of the LA Rams, was said to be a Sean McVay in waiting, and the Browns said, nope, we're not going to go with the young guy. Let's go get the Ravens retread. All for that. Speaking of the Ravens, they hired a new offensive coordinator a few days ago. It is Declan Doyle. Doyle coming from the Chicago Bears, which they were outstanding last year offensively. Doyle, the OC for the Bears, they made the playoffs, had an outstanding offense with Johnson, their new head coach there at the helm. Sounds like Doyle, who is in his shadow a little bit now, comes to Baltimore, which not all that excited about that. Back here to the Pittsburgh Pirates, excuse me. Some few extra things on them. Some more prospect talk. The Buccos prospect pool getting more love, ranked third by Kylie McDaniel of ESPN in the prospect farm system rankings around the MLB. First, however, according to Baseball America, the Pirates, the number one ranked farm system in all of Major League Baseball. That is more accurate right there. Connor Griffin, Bubba Chandler for the time being, Braxton Ashcraft. I'm not sure if he still has prospect status, but Seth Hernandez as well, Edward Florentino, Esmerlin Valdez. Just great prospect names there for the Bucs that are going to be contributing to this lineup sooner or later in a big way. The Pirates also yesterday adding 6 more non-roster invitees to Major League Spring Training. That was Derek Berg, catcher, first baseman Nick Samillo, right-handed pitcher Michael Darrell Hicks, who was on the roster in the Bucs bullpen for a cup of coffee last year. Left-handed pitcher Nick Domkowski, outfielder, infielder Mitch Jebb, former top prospect of the Bucs, and probably my dad's favorite obscure Pirate of all time, infielder Alika Williams. He will be back in Pirate City for spring training here in the coming weeks. Some other things for the Pirates. They added last week William Lugo on a minor league deal, former top prospect or former top 5 prospect of the New York Mets. Had 138 extra base hits and 224 RBIs in his minor league career. Nice buy low, high reward acquisition right there for the Bucs. O'Neal Cruz, speaking of rankings, he was ranked as the number 10 center fielder on MLB Now's top 10. Cruz coming off of a so-so season for him last year, his first full year out in center field. He got more experience out in center field throughout the offseason. Said he went back to work as soon as the regular season ended for the Bucs last season, did training with the bat. Now we know he's doing training in the outfield as well, was working with Kevin Kiermaier, one of the more outstanding defensive outfielders across the MLB over the past 5 or so years. Kiermaier working with Cruz says, quote, "I'm teaching him outfield A to Z, everything I can in a relatively small sample size. He's listened to everything I've said, and he's done a great job." So that there from Kiermaier, excellent defender, giving O'Neal Cruz, who's got freak athleticism, even more pointers. Can't be upset about that. Last thing here on the Bucs for tonight, 2 more names currently on the Bucs roster going to represent their countries in the World Baseball Classic, which begins in about a month, maybe a little over that. If I had Dennis Santana to each other a little bit in that time. That should be all right. And wrapping up here with the Pittsburgh Penguins, some extra news around them. This one small here, Melvin Fernstrom, who was the key prospect in the Marcus Pettersson, Drew O'Connor to the Vancouver Canucks trade from a season or so ago. He will be joining the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins to begin his North American hockey career. Excited to see him. Other than that, 2 other trades were made today in the NHL, both not involving the Pittsburgh Penguins, but does affect the Penguins because they involve division rivals. The New Jersey Devils, they acquire former Penguin center Nick Bjugstad today from the St. Louis Blues for a 4th-round pick and a reserve forward. So Bjugstad, ex-Penn, back in the Metropolitan Division. The big trade, though, the mega trade, probably the biggest in-season trade you will see across the NHL this season. The LA Kings made a trade with the New York Rangers, and the Rangers blow-up has begun. Artemi Panarin, outstanding winger, one of the best wingers across the NHL. He is heading to the LA Kings for a conditional 3rd-round pick and prospect Liam Greentree. On top of it, the Rangers will retain 50% of Panarin's salary for the rest of this season, and Panarin signed an extension with the Kings, a 2-year, $11 million extension. So just like that, the Rangers, yay, we hired Mike Sullivan. We're going to compete. Now, fast forward a few months, they are dead last in the Metropolitan Division. They are sellers, selling off their most dynamic forward. And also, to make it even more hilarious, the Pittsburgh Penguins got more back for Tristan Jarry than the New York Rangers got back for Artemi Panarin. Absolutely hilarious there. Gotta love it. Anyways, Penguins, like I said, only news about them will be tomorrow night when they play the Buffalo Sabres. They won't make any moves between now and then. The Olympic trade freeze began today at 3 p.m., so that will run through February 22nd at midnight. So the Pens not making any more moves. We'll have to wait a little bit for them possibly trading for a Jason Robertson or something like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, think that is just about going to wrap things up here for the night. One last stroll here through baseball, or through Twitter, I should say, before we wrap things up here. Ooh, we do got a bit of new news regarding baseball. I guess besides the Bucs, who were pursuing Eugenio Suarez, who signed with the Cincinnati Reds, the Boston Red Sox, they were also looking for a third baseman after Alex Bregman left them. They were in on Suarez. Now, they have found their replacement. The Boston Red Sox signing former Bucco Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to a one-year contract per Jeff Passan of ESPN. IKF, who has been on the market throughout this entire offseason, he's now going to go be a bounce-around guy around that infield up there in Boston. I mean, no way he was coming back to the Buccos, but him going to Boston, I guess, ain't the worst thing in the world. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they officially announced the minor league contract signing of Mike Clevinger. Their official statement here: we have signed right-handed pitcher Mike Clevinger to a minor league contract with an invite to the 2026 Major League camp. Clevinger has gone a combined 60 and 44 with a 3.55 ERA and 822 strikeouts across 164 regular season games in his 9 major league seasons. So the Bucs hyping him up. I'm hoping he finds some old form. That would be great right there for Clevinger. Sort of didn't he have like longer hair? He was like Thor, Noah Syndergaard for the Mets, but he wasn't Thor. So yeah, the Bucs make the Clevinger signing official. Just saw a tweet from a gag pirate account here saying the Bucs signed Framber Valdez to a 2-year, $55 million deal. I made my stomach drop there for a second. Thought we were going to be talking about some breaking news. Turns out not. Seeing a new video here of Damata Pekka as the new Steelers D-line coach. Some videos of him with Colorado last year. Seeing more and more stuff here on the Gavin McKenna situation. Apparently, there's this quote here saying that a guy was verbally assaulting McKenna's mother, and then McKenna took exception and punched a dude. So, not saying that's true, just reading what I'm seeing here on the internet. Apparently, Andy Weidel, according to a local Vikings beat writer, Andy Weidel might be in consideration for the Minnesota Vikings GM job. The Vikings, since we last spoke, firing their general manager. And I think that just about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. Not seeing anything else too new here that we haven't already talked about. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up here tonight. Going to be on for nearly 2 hours here. Real quick, though, want to get back one last time here to your comments. Some football talk here. Concepts, who announces the pick for the Steelers? Think they get Ben? I mean, Ben would be a logical choice. I think they might go, maybe they can get Troy Polamalu, something like that. I don't know. That'll be interesting. I'm sure the Steelers' picks throughout this draft in Pittsburgh will be filled with cameos of, popular fans and former players and stuff like that. So that's a good prediction, a good early prediction for you there, Concepts. Also, any thoughts on Mekhi Lemon or the trade up if needed to draft him? I would love a Mekhi Lemon. I've done like as base level work so far on the draft as you could possibly have. Maybe I'll do more look-ins at the draft with the combine in that coming up here soon, and hockey taking the Olympic break, baseball before it gets started up too much. But Mekhi Lemon, he's probably near the top of my board right now for wide receivers. I mean, you got Carnell Tate, who's my favorite, but Mekhi Lemon, he's probably second right now. And then you get into the Denzel Bostons and Jordan Tysons of the world like that. But tons of wide receivers. Mekhi Lemon, love him. But would I trade up for him? Yes, in the right situation. But also if there's a ton of other good wide receivers on the board, then I might just cut my losses with Lemon and settle for someone else without needing to give up a king's ransom here. Al on the prowl here would draft a offensive lineman in the first round, safety in the second round, receiver in the third. As long as, Al, you're not one of those guys, like one of those analysts out there that doesn't have their pulse on anything and they keep year after year marking the Steelers to take a first round offensive tackle. The only way I see the Steelers drafting offensive line first round is if confidently Isaac Seumalo walks out the door and you need a opening day starting left guard and you're not going to pay Bucs for one on the free agent market. That's the only way I see the Steelers drafting offensive line first round. Other than that, it's still wide receiver first round for me. I'm not going to risk drafting a guy in the second or third round and have another Roman Wilson situation. If I can get a bona fide number 2 to DK Metcalf that could maybe develop into a number 1, I'm doing that and fixing this problem that's been here for 2 years once and for all. Other than that, safety second round I'm cool with. Get a nice young safety to work under Deshaun Elliott and Jalen Ramsey if he's still here. I would love that. Wouldn't be mad about that. Safety is a need. Definitely there. Concepts here. MVP of a Pro Bowl that Shadur Sanders 19 QBR was in. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Yeah, saw a little bit of highlights of what Shadur did in the Pro Bowls. Looked exactly like a quarterback that threw 7 touchdowns to 10 picks. Tell you that much. Al here will eventually get to Pittsburgh to see a game at some point. Hoping you do, Al. It is atmosphere unlike any other. Like I said before, Steelers games, the environment there, it's something different. I mean, you can feel when the team vibes are high. You can feel the energy in that stadium. Like I'm sure the energy for that Ravens-Steelers Week 18 game, I'm sure that was absolutely off the charts. But yeah, Steelers games, they are a different animal. Been to many Pirates and Penguins games, fortunate to have been able to do those things. But Steelers games, they are a different breed. We can hear one few other comments here wrapping up tonight. We'll love to see Pitt play the Raiders. Talking about the University of Pittsburgh or the Steelers. Honestly, with how bad the Raiders were last year, if you were to suit up the Raiders team, take Max Crosby off the field too because of injury, if the Week 18 Raiders team played the Pitt Panthers when they were in their prime last season, it would be a close game. Not going to deny that. Concepts here. I don't gamble. My friend wants to bet me on the Super Bowl that the Pats will win. Think the Seahawks will win, but also like Drake May a lot. Should I take the bet? Also, tinfoil hat has me leery. My friend wants to bet me on the Super Bowl that the Pats will win. I think the Seahawks will win. I'm not going to tell you who you should and should not bet. I will say that even though the Seahawks just look like a juggernaut right now, we got to remember that the Patriots are the Patriots. And by hook or by crook, they have won Super Bowls in some sketchy-ass ways. And even though the evil empire of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is gone, you still have some voodoo magic, I'm sure, left in the tank there with the Patriots. So as much as I and you and all of us want the Seahawks to win, just got a bad feeling that the Patriots are going to pull some BS or it's going to be ref ball, and that'll be that. If we don't fix the O-line issues here, Al coming back on his comment earlier, if we don't fix the O-line issues, i.e. the Houston game, we won't have time to get the ball to a receiver, in my opinion. I understand that. I absolutely understand that. But also, I mean, you look and you've gotten surprises like guys like Dylan Cook and stuff. He was a pleasant surprise, excluding the Houston game here. But some of those games last year for the Steelers where they looked completely inept offensively, I'm sure that would have been a massive difference to have a young freak first round talent and pedigree wide receiver out there. So we'll see. I'm still sticking, and probably will keep this way. I'm still sticking to my take that it's wide receiver first round no matter what. So we'll see. Time will tell. Concepts here. Very true. They could fix the game for the Pats. Be the first team to 7. Damn good point. I just have that feeling in my stomach. I have that feeling. In my opinion, Pats will get 7 and perhaps number 8. Yeah. Yeah. Just the Patriots, they have BS that goes their way like that. It's just my feelings. I might give my final predictions on the game on Friday, but that's my initial vibes on things here. So I think that's going to wrap it up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 12 of you still hanging around in here. Thank you very, very much. This went better than I expected for a first live stream back in the saddle after a little over a week long. Got to recharge the batteries a tiny bit and take a bit of a breather, but now we're back. And like I said before that break over the past week or so, it is back to the grind. We got some more to talk about. The Steelers, we'll be talking about them a bunch leading up to the draft. Now that the coaching staff is filled out with the Penguins, they're going to be going into the Olympic break. I'm planning on doing a few Olympic live streams covering Team USA. Got my working on a Team USA goal graphic right now, and got some Mike Eruzione jerseys for Christmas. Excited to don those bad boys. So hopefully you guys come back here for some Team USA Olympic coverage. Might do a little bit of coverage for Sid and Team Canada as well. And also baseball right around the corner. So close to Contessa. We can taste it. Not it can taste us. Spring training and some tons of news about that will be beginning here soon. And the World Baseball Classic as well will be covering that. So tons of fun ahead leading into what will probably be a crazy summer here on the channel. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the kind words for the first live stream back. First SCSR 60 back. After the break, that'll be coming up at some point a little bit later on tonight. I'm not going to put out a time as to when that will be out. It'll be at some point tonight. That's all I'll say. But thank you guys. This was fun. Went better than expected. On your way out, one last time, if you're new here, like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comments section, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night. We'll be back here tomorrow to chit chat about more Pittsburgh sports news. Thank you all. Peace.